Hello, and welcome to the Bardic INNspiration.
When the Empyrean strikes back, you get more than a lame Star Wars pun. This is your Bardic INNspiration, and it's time for the Holy Talk. Today we talk about Empyreans.
You are correct. Empyreans, they are from the Monster Manual, page 130. They are the embodiment of two gods. Their appearance are very statuesque. Are they gigantic creatures? Huge humanoids.
They're huge.
Often
Huge
they're
celestials.
humanoid in appearance. Sometimes they can be not humanoid. You know, a dragon, for example, it could have a draconic look to it. But typically they're humanoid in appearance because they serve kind of as avatars to the gods themselves.
Where did they originate from?
So they were initially within the white box set. They were set as titans. In 4E, the scale of titans was expanded to where they separated giants and titans, and then the titans kind of more resembled the elements of for example, death, earth, fire, storm, frost, earth, and eldritch. They kind of more adhere to the standard elements of the elemental chaos. It wasn't really until 5e until they were recondensed and named as Empyreans. So you still have your giants, your stone, fire, storm, etc. But the Empyreans were all the Titans were condensed into one singular race currently, which is the Empyreans. There are other 5e books out there, like example, the Tome of Beasts, which does have separate actual Titans in there. But if you look at the stats, they're pretty close to the same.
Well, what's the main difference? If there was one.
Flavor.
Is it?
Yeah, pretty much. So the one that stood out to me was the Storm Titan, and the imagery was of essentially it looked like a giant, like a storm giant, but the size difference between a storm giant is maybe 20 feet tall. This thing was nearly colossal in its appearance as far as the graphics are, and that is a difference too, because giants are considered normally huge, whereas this titan was colossal in size. So it really depends. I mean, you can have your Empyreans go from huge. You could have them serve as they attempt to look like a human, so they're medium sized. It really depends on the god, how they're created, and then their own personal abilities.
Right. So they are created by the gods. Like, do they take that alignment?
From what I see, most of them tend to be of the chaotic good variety. However, there are a few who tend towards the evil sort of aspects.
Okay.
Depending on that, the only evil sorts of Empyreans you would see would be those tempted by gods of the lower planes. The evil sorts of gods that are fallen into temptation, succumb to evil, and therefore use it to do what they do.
Right.
Yeah, basically corrupted by the lower planes. The other bit of knowledge I saw was that if you have two gods in the lower planes, you could birth essentially the opposite Empyrean, where it's 75% likely to be an evil Empyrean versus a good.
Depends on the gods who create the Empyrean.
Yeah, and it all depends on your deities. The interesting thing about these being children of gods, they are still, in a way, mortal. They have all this super strength, super power, but they can be slain. And if I read correctly, it's pretty easy as far as... Well, because it's never going to quite run away. It has a headstrong kind of personality that, because they are so strong and powerful, that they don't ever think they can be defeated. So you could bring it to the brink of death, and it's still going to fight with all its might.
Right. They have a strong emotional tie to things that they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that emotion manifests as power, in a sense.
Well, yeah, it can change the weather. You know, you get an angry Empyrean, you get thunderstorms. A sad one, you get a rainstorm. You know,
You
if
get a
it's
sad Empyrean, suddenly the whole world's being flooded by
yeah.
colossal tears.
But they are very rapid in change as well, with their emotions. You know, 1 minute they'll be very angry at the greeting that you said, and they took it the wrong way, so they're super angry about it. But then they realize, oh, you're on the same side, so quickly they change back to, oh, brothers and bonds and so on and so forth.
Now I'm just kind of imagining an Empyrean like sitting somewhere, and it's a constant storm because they're either like just hella upset about something.
Right, a sorrowful,
They're
yeah,
just, like,
Empyrean.
This tundra is filled with rain. Just like,
Would
fuck.
you consider them demigods?
In a sense, I would consider them demigods. I mean, they basically have the power of demigods. They have the immortality shared with a god.
I would say they're more like a half god.
A quasi-god?
Something to where it's not, because the demigods typically portrayed as half like actual mortal and half god.
That is a fair point.
So
Whereas these are a
literally
creature.
from God.
Yeah. Well, that brings an interesting point then, because I would say, like, everyone knows Hercules from
Right.
Greek mythology, you know, Disney, etc. And essentially, he would be an Empyrean because he was born from two gods, but he was
No.
removed of his power.
Not in that's the movie.
No, I
That
know.
is- yeah, that is
If
definitely
movie
Disney.
Hercules, sure.
Yeah, the movie Hercules.
Original
Whereas the
lore-
original lore, he would be
Demi.
a demigod
Yeah.
because
Immortal.
Zeus
Mortal mother.
was.
For up to Zeus, there would be so many demigods and Empyreans.
Well, it wasn't just Zeus. I mean, Poseidon and Hades as well. But we're kind of getting a little off topic here.
I mean, you could still say in the sense like what they made
Yeah.
essentially these types of beings.
Yeah.
Zeus and Poseidon had a child.
So if you want, if anything, you can have your campaign run in Greek mythology more focused than the current D&D mythology.
Yeah, you could. I mean, and then you still have your upper planes, your lower planes. It's just one plane versus another.
So, they can commune with their god, but, like, can they travel to their god and speak with their...
Yeah.
Have a presence with their god?
So typically, they don't even come to the prime material plane unless A, they're evil and been corrupted because they can never get back into the upper planes, or
Okay.
B, they're sent as a consort, advisor, a representative, or an avatar to these gods.
Okay.
Otherwise, typically, you won't see them. I mean, they pretty much
So
come.
they're rare to see.
Yeah, I would say they're very rare.
Probably a good thing. They're so rare
Which
to
is
see anyway. They
which
are
is good
extremely
because
common.
they wield adamantine weapons, which is typically in the D&D universe a very rare material. Whether it's armor.
So what you're saying is we hunt them down and steal their weapons for different weapons.
No, what I'm saying
you
is
could,
they're
but they're
ungodly in
huge.
power and strength.
Okay, when you say adamantine, what would that mean in a D&D reference?
As far as adamantine weapons, I mean, Xanathar's is coming out and they're kind of giving like an official, but currently, like, for my idea, as far as adamantine, you have a greater chance at critting.
Okay.
Whereas, like, weapons, it removes crits altogether. Well, adamantine weapon, you're more likely to crit. Kind of, unfortunately, taking... For me, the champion, where they crit on a 19 or 20, or at higher levels, 18 to 20, I would reduce that by 1.
Okay.
So, for a third level champion, if for some reason you gave this third level champion an adamantine sword,
Fair point.
it would be an 18 to 20.
18 to 20 crit range.
That's-
Yeah.
Well, back
Awesome.
to 3.5,
That-
I feel like...
That's really overpowered, so I would highly advise against giving your champion an adamantine sword. Unless you're playing, your PCs are godlike.
Yeah, unless you are at a higher level.
High
There we
level
go.
going into the end of the campaign.
And then
Yeah.
what's their AC at right now?
For
It would be a...
Empyrean?
The Empyrean's armor class typically resides at 22, and that's without any additional benefits.
So they can basically just
That's without
attack
armor.
and be... Yeah, without armor. That's crazy.
You are a cruel DM if you decide to add adamantine armor to that thing.
With adamantine armor, they
Cruel
have
or
even
cruel?
more reason to
Cruel.
believe that they're invincible in battle.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about their melee, like what they attack with, but what kind of spells do they have? What kind of abilities do they have?
How else they fight, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely have a bolt that they can fire at will, of which can be any of the following damage types. There's acid, cold, fire, force, lightning, radiant, or thunder, and it's all the Empyrean's choice which one they want to cast.
Wow.
So it's like an upgrade to the chromatic orb spell.
Pretty much.
Impressive.
Oh, you're resistant to fire? Okay, here's some lightning damage.
Yeah.
In addition to that, they also have innate spellcasting abilities. At will, they can cast Greater Restoration. They can pass without trace. They can breathe through water, walk in water. You know, they're gods. They should be able to do these things at will.
Yeah.
In addition, they also have several one-a-day spells, which are very much kind of for the purposes that we were mentioning earlier, that they use to commune with their gods or with the upper planes. And then they have the ability to plane shift once a day, so they can traverse the different planes wherever they need to go as their god sees fit. Or if they're acting of their own free will, doing what they see fit. And then going off of sort of being able to control the weather in a sense, they can cause earthquakes or firestorms. So they can also cause severe levels of devastation, if they choose.
That's not including all the mean stuff your DM includes.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and kind of getting into that DM theory, I mean, typically these things are seen as goods, avatar of the gods, so how would you guys throw one into a campaign?
I currently have plans for an Empyrean. My party has yet to see the full potential of him, but he is spoken to the party through a magical item in which he is trapped in. He came down to the material plane and befriended the dwarves. He saw their greed, and he became corrupted by that and wished to slay them. And a gold dragon had to take him out. They fought on the plains, and he was slain by the gold dragon.
That's pretty interesting, because they're really strong. They're, what, CR 30?
23.
23. Okay, so they're not Kraken or Tarask. I mean,
Tarask is the only CR30.
I thought Kraken was... Okay. Side point.
I don't know.
Either way, they shouldn't be underestimated.
No, they shouldn't. But I mean, it would be interesting to, as a low-level party, come across an Empyrean, and it's to combat a larger threat with this low-level party. So I would say a good level jump, a little encounter too.
If you want to give your party a good boost, then yes, having them encounter an Empyrean, either going against their forces or joining their forces, is a good way to give them a bit of an XP bump.
Yeah.
My idea for my campaign that I actually kind of considered these guys a while ago was to go along the ideas of the corrupted sense, like they're following something they probably shouldn't, and that they become a serious threat depending on where the players go.
So there are multiple Empyreans throughout your world?
It's a possible idea, yeah.
Okay.
I've also had the idea of an Empyrean who sits kind of behind the throne of a kingdom. Like, no one knows that he's actually, like, the secret force guiding the kingdom, but he has multiple people that he advises, tells them what to do, how to run the kingdom efficiently.
So is he disguised as human or some other creature, or is he still huge?
That is up to him. How he presents himself to the people he
Be
is.
interesting, like a good worm tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, which phrases the fact he could be doing this in the name of his god. Maybe his god sends him down to him or her to influence the people to better join up with their sort of view on the world. Or it could be just an evil Empyrean seeking power, but without directly influencing events.
Right, he's not the ruler, he is just the advisor.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So like he said, the worm tongue pretty much.
Yeah.
You could even take a more like tyrannical approach to it also, and have an evil Empyrean that, you know, got corrupted by like a demon or a evil god and decided to go to the material plane, and it kind of has like a mentality of, no, I'm going to be a god, and then he uses its abilities to like devastate or threaten an entire civilization and basically demand that they worship it in in response he doesn't burn down their world. On the other side of it, you could also have an Empyrean that is good in a situation where maybe if you have an evil party at higher levels, and it could be sort of like one of the good gods, like one of their last ditch efforts to try to stop them, and sends like one of his created sons to stop these evil characters from inserting their way into your world.
That'd be definitely an interesting idea for a campaign. Like, they go so evil that the gods even turn against them.
Right.
Well,
And they start sending,
The good gods at least turn
Yeah.
against them, and so now it turns into this battle where
they start sending, like, angels and Empyreans down to stop them.
yeah.
I like that.
end level, high level
Which
campaign
gives
encounters, right?
Clash of the Titans.
Which gives me another idea. What of an evil Empyrean who's trying to influence the party into his direction, corrupt them, make them evil, and it's up to the players, of course, whether or not they follow that path of corruption, or they try to steer away and follow the path of justice.
Well, you know what they say, the best bad guys are the ones that already think they're right.
Exactly.
That they're doing good.
Right.
I think that's about covers it.
Okay.
A little shorter episode this time, but thanks for listening. And until next time.
Thank you for staying at the Bardic Inn. If you would like to hear more, we will be uploading new content Thursdays at noon PST on
iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Castbox, and Podbean.
If you have any recommendations on future content, you can leave a comment on these various platforms, or you can contact us on Twitter at the Bardic Inn, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bardic Inn.
We're your local bards.
Daniel.
Andrew.
Then
And Jake.
be inspired.